more about that. We love these
Credit
kinds of
card.
stories.
So
I mean,
you buy with a credit card. How did you think you were going to build these rooms? That should be interesting.
Well, I didn't think that at that point. I thought that I would, you know, coming from a family that's risk averse, you know, my father
Yeah.
is very averse.
Mm.
My brothers are all in business. I thought to myself, one way or the other, I'm going to make it, you know.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
There's no, and I was working for government, so there was no way I was going to get fired from my job. And I was earning quite a good salary at that point.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, look, whatever happens, this property will be in my name, and I'll survive. And to tell you the truth, it's been almost 10 years now since I had that property.
And
And I'm grateful I did buy it. I've paid off the credit card. I no longer owe anything on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've built the amount of cottages that I wanted to build on it.
Yeah.
And,
Wow. Congratulations.
and I'm still receiving the passive income from the property.
Okay. All right.
Nice. Okay, so tell us about that journey, because usually there's often a story with the first development and the property that all our guests tell us. So you said something interesting. You said, little did I know I was putting myself in trouble. What were you referencing there? What was that in reference to?
So the first year and a half, 2 years, really nothing happened on that property.
Wow.
Nothing happened. It was just sitting there.
But you had the credit card debt.
I had the credit card debt. I was paying it off, and I got two of my friends to partner up with me to help me build the property. I will build a few rooms. We got together. The relationship didn't go well. I lost a friend. Plus, I lost a business partner.
Oh.
And I learned my lesson. Then I was banned very badly. I got
Yeah.
banned very badly.
Yeah.
I then decided that I'm going to wait it out. And lucky for me, I had family members who really could come to the party. And my aunt and my brother, who were almost in the same business as my father, were able to supply me with second-hand building material from the
Okay.
beginning to the end.
Wow.
Wow.
And I could pay them off little by little. So I had saved on one of the biggest cost drivers, which was building material.
Building material. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And I built all my properties using second-hand building material as much as I can.
Wow. I actually have a friend in Cape Town that does the exact same. And she was telling me that she flips houses. And she said, this is how she does. This is how she's able to make a lot of money on flips, is that she uses secondhand building materials. I didn't think much of it because she told me this about 2-3 years ago. But Mizo, that's an angle for a podcast interview to really explore.
But let me tell you something else that you are doing here, Vangile, though. Did you not furnish your mom's house on that street that is full of antiques? That is so weird. We keep flipping back to the flipping. Go on, Matimba. She does this thing. She does this thing of. It's such an emotional journey for me because I listen to her all the time do that, and you need to know how to pick things in a street like that. It's like secondhand shopping of building material. It requires a certain level of patience that I necessarily don't have, and that is
love it.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind. So you had your financial plan actually did work out, but did you know that you were doing development at the time, Matimba? Did you have any fears and doubts about building?
You know, strange enough, no fear in my mind.
Sure.
In my
Wow.
mind, I think that is the stupidity of youth or something, or the
I know,
bravado.
right?
I was uh, I was in my very early 30s,
Right.
Yeah.
and to me this was an adventure. It was
Yeah.
something that I
Mm.
just done, because of the passion I had for what I was doing then, I didn't think
Mhm.
twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
That is
That is,
amazing.
I
yeah.
didn't think twice, you know. So for me, the journey was worth it because at that point, really, I didn't have a wife. Although I had a child, I was just I was just playing to my instincts,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
Yeah.
I had used all the lessons my parents taught me about business, about perseverance, about going for
Yeah.
what you want and being persistent. I used all of that.
Yeah.
Mm. I was actually about to say, you said something very interesting and critical. You said you grew up around entrepreneurs. And so, and I always talk about this, that through osmosis, we pick up things.
We
I
do.
didn't realize how much I picked up from my parents' entrepreneurial journey
Mm.
until after my first business failed. And then I just started going back to what I had seen them do that
Mm.
really, really helped me. So I think the, that also plays such a key role
Mm.
when you've just grown up around it and
Around
you
it.
don't even know what you've been picking up, but it's small things that other people that haven't grown up in an entrepreneurial household will not always know
Will
these
not
things. It's
always.
just small habits.
Yeah, which brings me to the next question, then. Such an important point you're making. So, Matimba, you don't grow around people who say, let's go to the bank, let's borrow this, let's borrow that. So, it was not even in your mind to say you could borrow money for development, or you could borrow money to buy this house or not to buy this house. So, the bank was not involved at all in that first development you did.
No, they were not. The bank was not involved. But obviously, financing institutions or other ways of financing came into my life later on,
Later on.
as I was growing. But also the concept of a property stokvel came to me
Okay,
as
Mm,
crowdfunding, as I was
right.
advancing into my journey, trying to find the way of really not going through the banks,
Sure,
because
sure.
I've had to come up with creative ways of building and growing and expanding.
Yeah,
I'm
And
so excited right now.
I started, I started, I started looking for like-minded people who were in the same journey. Facebook was becoming a bit famous then, so I
sure.
would always look for property investors on Facebook. And one day, I came across a group called SA Investment Institute or something. South
Yeah.
African Property Investors, whatever.
Uh,
Network,
And then
yeah.
and then I attended the session one day, and the first time I attended, it was very nice. It was very nice to know people that I'm not the crazy one. There are people like me who also want, you know, what I'm looking for. I then met up with a few other people who are going through the same journey. We had lunch, we had coffee, we got to know each other. And then we moved on to the second development. I moved on to the second development
Mm,
with them. Whilst I was also busy buying up properties on the other side, we were experimenting what it could be when two, four, five individuals came together with the common vision of investing in real estate. And
mm,
we started flipping then with these individuals, buying, fixing, selling, buying, fixing, selling. And it worked very well for a number of years. And I would then take the profit and put it back into whatever development I was busy with at the time, you know.
Okay.
So the flipping worked well in terms of ensuring that we have cash flow, but also ensuring that I could, you know, learn from other people and their experiences. I then moved on to my second project. Also, I went to an auction, bought a property. I got banned via the auction process, but went back
What
again.
happened?
So I bought a property with the intention of flipping it, you know,
Right.
and I didn't pay for the full amount for the property.
Okay.
So I
Oh,
thought I would buy the property, renovate it, and flip it within 6 weeks. You
Yeah.
know,
ah,
it didn't happen that way.
Of course. Matimba.
Yeah, it
oh,
took longer.
he had muted himself. So you said
Sorry,
the
there's another
last we
call.
heard
There's a
was,
call coming in, guys. I need to take that call. I don't know if I
Okay.
should take.
So,
No. You know what? Let's continue. I won't take the call. We'll just finish up and I'll wrap it from there. So yeah, I flipped
okay.
and then it didn't go well. I lost a lot of money. I went back. I flipped. I was successful in that process. So
Mm,
I've lost a lot of money, I must say, but I've also
yes.
made.
yes.
Keeps getting the
Mm,
call.
yes, I
You're
think
still
he
here.
got, no, he's still here. So I like that you talk about that, Matimba. I
Too.
was actually about the fact that like you've lost a lot of money and you've made a lot of money, because I think most people only think that when you get into property you're gonna make money,
Mm,
right? And I think investment involves risk, and with risk comes some losses.
mm. No, it's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, any business that you get in, there's a chance that you might lose whatever you've made. You need to start from scratch, but it's a learning process.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Definitely.
So
So
I've learned my lesson. I've been bent not once, but like a number of times, uh,
mm,
and that's a learning for me.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That is, I think that's so powerful. People need to hear that. So
Yeah.
how how did you then move into full-time development? So you went into flipping and then you thought you'd flip in 6 weeks and you didn't. What did you do with that property?
Well, it had to go back to the auction floor.
Ah,
Uh,
Whoa.
and your
and
money was in there. Are
my
you
money
kidding?
was in there, and I
Oh my
So
lost it
you
God.
all.
lost the money.
He
Oh,
lost
Yes,
he
I
lost the
did.
property and the money, and it was
Yes,
re-auctioned.
yes,
oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Wow. I like
Wow.
I like that though. And because I know of a friend who went and bid for a property, but you signed some guarantees, isn't it? Firstly, he had paid a deposit of 50,000, and then I don't know what the story was, but you need to to come up with a deposit within a certain uh,
Correct.
time,
So
isn't it?
you need to provide them with either you get a bank, you get a loan from
Guarantee.
the bank, or you come up with the balance of the cash. And I didn't at that point.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and
he
so I
came
lost
with
Wow.
a guarantee and he was held onto the offer to purchase, even though he actually failed to raise the rest of the money. That's how he lost his
Mm,
money. Yeah.
mm,
So the
Sure.
guarantee gets paid to the auctioneer and the deposit because now you are buying. So the offer to purchase stands as a contract and you couldn't get it out, even though the banking institutions couldn't give him money for that house. Yeah.
mm.
So
Wow.
those are the risks
So auctions
associated.
can be very risky.
They
Too much.
can,
You
they
can.
can, they can. You need to know what you're doing. Matimba, this is such a good learning though. But now you now you've gotten into development and now you are doing property management. How do you even land in property management? What makes you What makes one want to do property management?
So the investors that I was selling to when I was
Oh,
still flipping, were
Mhm.
coming back to me and saying, look, Ash, we want someone to manage these properties for us.
I see.
We really don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
And then I was like, one day I said to myself, well, I'm here. Why can't I do it for you?
So
And I had to go back to school, get my NQF level 5, level
I
4,
see. Yes.
and I did that. And then once I've done that, I had to go back and say, look, guys, I'm ready now. You can bring all your properties for me to manage. And
Okay.
yeah, they did. They did. And we grew from about five properties to about 24 in like 6 months. And
My
we've been
goodness.
growing exponentially since then.
Okay.
that's beautiful. Wow.
But
So,
yes, go ahead, Levan.
so I wanted to go back to this property financing and your partners in the property stock file. Is this how you've been doing your property development?
Well, some yes, but I must say we've had to go back to funding institutions.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm not talking about banks. I'm talking about the other funding institutions like your business partners.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and we had to ask them to come and apologies. I'm receiving calls. So
Sorry.
we've had to come up with those mechanisms.
Mm.
Okay. So you've had to ask them to come on board and partner with you.
Correct, correct.
Hmm. Okay. That's actually interesting to note and good to note. Can I ask, are you guys just focused on township development or are you doing other types of development? What kind
No,
of
we do.
development are you doing?
No, we're not doing other. We're doing all kinds of developments. We don't restrict ourselves to townships.
Okay.
Uh, and CBD, we've got something going on in the Pretoria CBD and in Joburg. We are we want to focus mainly on student accommodation now within the Joburg and Tshwane CBD. So we try and diversify as much as possible where there are opportunities, and the return on investment is what we think it is.
Mm, okay. Yeah, that makes
Mm.
a lot of sense.
That's so amazing, though. That is so
Yes.
amazing. So, in the science of um, development and property management, um, can you just tell us a little bit about property management? Is it the same? Is it?
No, no,
Can somebody say, well, okay, I can just do property management. I'll just open shop and say to people, I'll manage your properties.
completely different. Completely different.
Mhm.
Mostly because of the regulations that are put in place.
So,
The new Property Practitioners Act that was enacted this year is very strict on how you manage properties, because you are dealing with people's finances. Development also, a lot of regulations and a lot of um, barriers to cross. So they are completely two different uh,
sciences. Eh?
sciences, and I must say I am still learning to this day. I can't claim to know it all. So
Mhm.
for me, it's just a learning process.
Okay.
Mm,
Wow. Wow.
I like that. So,
Um,
as you are busy doing your property development and you've got these partners, we're very interested. We're always asking people, how do you structure the deals? And how do you,
yeah.
yes, how do you do your structures? Because usually people would form a company and then invest under the company. How are you guys doing it with your various partners in the stock file?
That
I
is the
then
best.
some
That,
some of them don't even. They're just like, oh, Bangile, I like her. She's my friend. She's so sweet.
well, well, the best
let's
thing.
buy a house, Bangile. Let's buy a house, and then we buy a house.
And then you end up hating each
Yeah.
other and end up losing friends, right?
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
when
but
I started, we were just I was doing partnerships based on good intent. We didn't have a structure. There was no vehicle to manage that process. But now the process is much more formal. We set up a co. We do memorandums of incorporation. We set up a
yeah.
pre-agreements. So we're a bit more structured and formalized now, more
Mm,
than we used to be.
mm.
So
Mm,
the we are able to say this is the agreement, this is the risk you are taking. So now we've got a much more formalized way of doing it.
I like that.
mm,
I like that
okay.
very much. And so there is a company that is formed. There is a memorandum of agreement. When do we sell? How do we sell? You
Mhm.
sell to me first, or
Mhm.
we decide to
Yeah,
sell to the market and then we divide up the money. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's the
it
commonest.
is.
It's the commonest question on property investment groups. How
Mm.
should I buy? And if you think you look at my face and you think, yeah, no, I like Miranda, that's not how you buy properties.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No, this is great. So Matimba, my last question about property management, it's my common interest. I ran away from my own NQF exam.
Mhm.
What in property management, what would you say are the biggest, the top 3 or top 5 things that one needs to know about property management that you could give to someone?
I think first of all you must appreciate that you are dealing with not just people's monies, but you are dealing with their assets.
Yeah,
uh, you need
Mm,
to
yeah,
appreciate that fact,
yeah,
but
yeah.
also
yeah.
you I always say I handle each and every client or each and every property as if it was my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in some instances, the tenant would think that I own the property. That's how vigorous I am and
Okay.
how conscious I am with the
Okay.
management of the property. There are
Right.
clients I've had who have bought the property who haven't been there in years. In years, they haven't
Yeah.
been to their property, but because I have put up systems and mechanisms, I manage those properties on their behalf,
Sure.
and uh, our relationship is so solid that what they say they will get at the end of the month, they get.
Okay.
Um,
Yes. I like
step,
this.
step number 2, I think the second one would be to take care of the admin part.
Yes.
The admin part can be compromising if
Yes.
you don't handle it
Mm,
properly.
mm,
I was never an admin intensive person,
Yeah.
but I have learned through the years to really
Yeah.
focus on the admin part, because if you don't, you will find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's great advice, actually.
That is such great advice. And also for the person
Yeah.
who owns the asset, right? This is what they
Mhm,
can use to get finance, refinancing, and all sorts of.
mhm.
Yeah.
But for you as well, it can have huge tax implications,
True,
huge
true.
burdens. Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's such good advice. Mm.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
what
think
So
I
would you?
think
Sorry.
pardon? I was going to say, I feel full, Mizo. Can we move on to the next segment of the show?
I really feel he's giving us such good insights, Matimba. This has been so great. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
thank you guys. It's a pleasure.
Mhm.
Okay. We're moving on to the next segment of the show, guys.
On to the next segment of our show, magical feedback from our hosts, where our hosts share their 3 takeaways from today's episode.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Magical Feedback. As usual, I'm going to have Mizo start us off with the takeaways.
I love Matimba's story. Where do I even begin? I'm big. I'm big on this because when you are um, a startup property investor, I tell you, please, if you can, just don't start with property development. It can turn you totally off property investing. And that's exactly
Mm,
where Matimba went, right? Bought a house in Harantua
yes.
and built 14 rooms. And he learned the hard way that it didn't take that little time that he thought it would, because he didn't know enough actually, but he went and did development as a first thing to do. But there you are. Development is an
Yeah.
advanced strategy, nothing wrong with it, and nothing wrong with you have a house already and you put several units inside of that yard. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that there are just so many things involved: making the plans, doing geo studies, making sure you honor the
Mm,
municipality, and you do rezoning and the contractor, and so there are too many things involved in development for a starter property investor. But some people start there. There you go.
yes, definitely. I like that. I think
Mm,
some people start there, and he said it. He said it's the
mm,
naivety of youth, right?
yeah,
You know, he didn't know what he didn't know. And sometimes that's the best thing,
I
you
know.
know?
I know.
So, my first takeaway is basically for me, it's I love when we talk about looking at how people's families have and the kind of jobs that people did or businesses that families owned, how they then impact the future generations. So you
Hmm.
can see
Hmm.
that Matimba was always around the building industry. And
Hmm.
just through that, he then got this interest. And we've had quite a few property investors on this show talk about how, oh, my dad was into this. My dad was a builder. My dad was a property investor. My parents did this. And so it basically then opens up doors or changes the vision of the future generation, and
So,
you can see how they take it to the next level. So
absolutely.
my takeaway is the importance of us becoming those ancestors,
I
because what
know.
we're doing is that future generations will come and look at this and say, wow, Mizo, my grandmother Mizo was in
Yeah, my
property.
grand
And
aunt. Mm,
yeah, and when you're
mm.
looking at this, it's like they are now doing way bigger deals on an international scale than we could have ever dreamt. But what
So,
we're doing right now is we're just planting the seeds and
yeah.
becoming those good ancestors.
I was hoping you would do that takeaway because you just know how to unpack ancestral things. No, that is incredible. I mean, it can go either way.
Yeah,
It can go
true.
totally wrong that, oh, I
Yes.
saw my mother being an entrepreneur and she failed dismally. And it's
Mm,
really, it shies you or it scares you out of entrepreneurship. But at the same time, it can give you courage like you can't believe that you can create your own money and have money.
yes.
Yeah. So I love
Yes,
I love that
definitely.
takeaway so much. Let's just talk about the other one that I really like. His the part where he speaks about buying property number two using credit card, the same one that he developed in Kangua. And the
Yeah.
credit card is such a contentious issue for most people. But when you are a savvy property investor, it can be your biggest savior as well. I mean, he
Mm,
bought the house on a credit card. There it was paid up. And then he had to find money to develop. And, he did it piecemeal, secondhand, and it took much, much longer. But he had the house and he still had his job. So he was able to pay off the credit card. And one of our
mm,
property investors here who did a short-term rental, an Airbnb, I can't remember what number Tandega was, she also used a credit to furnish the apartment that she did a short-term rental on. And I know several people who use their credit card. So
yes.
the credit card is is not your answer for property investing. You know, it's such a big risk, it's such big
Yes,
interest, and it can really sink you. Yeah, it
I
can absolutely
agree.
ruin your life. So only when you know what you're doing and where that money is going to come from. And for me, the interest rates of 25, 27% is ridiculous. So, but there
It
you are, somebody.
is.
Yeah, it's
But
ridiculous.
also, I guess if
Mhm,
you have that vision and you're like, I can't afford to lose this opportunity,
mhm,
for
mhm.
some people, it's worth the risk. For
It's worth
me,
the risk.
having gone through credit card debt, I know I feel like I'm full. I've lived it for a
I'm
lifetime.
full.
No one can sell me a credit card, guys. Like,
I
you'd
know.
have to do the most. But
Yeah,
I think, again, these are individual choices because we are all different. Not everyone has my history and my story, and some
yeah,
people have had a really great experience with credit cards. So
yeah.
this is why, like, a lot of the stuff is very much
Individual.
individual choices. But also, I'm gonna hop on about the financing factor. Just my
Yeah.
takeaway: the power of stockpiles,
I
right?
know.
Which is
Jeez.
just, I mean, this is exactly why we started the Property Magician Stockpile, is that Matimba realized that as an individual, he could only do so much and he could only access so much funding, right? But as a collective, we each bring our own little bits and pieces of money, and it makes a sizable amount that you can do way more and you can grow quicker. He just said that, like, you grow so much faster because you're a collective. So
Yeah.
for me, and the other thing that he mentioned was the skills that come with that, right? Because you've got all these different investors and everybody's learning and bringing their skill set to the table. And so he was able to then grow and access new markets. For me, that is just beautiful
It
because this is
is.
exactly our vision behind the Property Magician Stockpile, is that we are constantly learning from other developers. And at the same time, we're also raising these funds, which honestly, 2.6 million in such a short space of time, we wouldn't have been able to do that
No,
as individuals, right?
absolutely not.
Like,
Absolutely not.
but
Absolutely not.
now we
And
can even sit here and joke and say, oh, guys, we can afford to go buy buildings now if we decide
yeah,
to ever take this money and we could start a company and go buy buildings. But
yeah,
when you're on your own and you're one person, to dream that big, it could take, doesn't, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it could take a while to implement the dream. You can have the dream, but it can take you a while. So the
wow.
power of stockpiles is my takeaway.
It is so, so juicy. I really love that takeaway. Wow. So my third takeaway, again, I'm going to wear my hat as a property mentor. Property management is such a good science, Evangile. It's such a good place for someone to begin their property journey. Because in property
Mm.
management, which is becoming a real estate practitioner, is such a good place to begin when you don't have a single cent, you don't know
Yeah.
nothing about property. You walk in
Mm.
into one of those big property houses, your whatever, your Remexes, your Rawsons, your whatever, right? And you walk in there.
Yes.
The learning that is in there, you get taught how to manage rentals, how to sell a house, what sells a house, what doesn't sell a house, the financing, the
Wow.
conveyancing, the the initiation of a bond. So there's nothing that you don't learn as a practitioner. So
That is incredible.
it is incredible. So in a room with real estate practitioners, you'll find a 26-year-old and a 19-year-old wet behind the ears, never worked anywhere. You will find me, a 50-plus-year-old. You will find a 70-year-old. All of you selling houses and renting out houses. The learning in that room is
Nice.
incredible. So the science of property management is such an incredible and a powerful way of starting your property
Mm.
investment journey, because as you learn, then you come across these houses that are cheap, and what and what. And that's how you can even begin your
Mm.
property investment
And you
journey.
also meet investors in
You
the
meet investors.
process. You start to build your network. So I think that people can, that is such a good idea, Mizo. You can go in
Yeah.
and just have your
Yeah.
vision and say, okay, I'm going to do this, but within the next 2 years, I want to see myself owning my first property. Let me do this, you know,
Absolutely.
and just use that as a learning curve. I love
Absolutely.
this.
I mean,
Brilliant advice.
my very first sale was a 3 million rent house, and you get your 4 to 6% commission. Come on,
Yeah.
right? For someone who comes from zero to a 6% of 300,000, that is an incredible amount
Oh,
of
3
money.
million.
And yeah, of 3 million, sorry,
6% of 3
of
million.
3
That is
million. Yeah,
lovely,
that is nice.
right?
So, you know, I'm forever saying, you know, property is so much opportunity. And what I like about it
Mm.
is it doesn't discriminate age, shape, size, level of learning or level of education. Doesn't matter. Property is such a
Love it.
beautiful place. Yeah.
Oh man, this is what a gold nugget, guys. So if you're starting out and you don't know
Yeah.
where to start and you don't have the funds, this is
Yeah.
a great place to start. And also the thing is that you're learning how to look for deals and you can
Yeah.
eventually move into sourcing,
Exactly.
you know? So this is so,
Exactly.
so powerful.
Yeah.
My final takeaway is, oh gosh, why has it now slipped my mind?
Oh, sorry. You got excited about mine.
I did. I had it in my the back of my mind. Okay, so I let me look for another takeaway. Ugh, this is
Not the
so.
auction one.
Oh no, I found it.
Okay.
My final takeaway is the risk and what Matimba said about how he's lost a lot of money and how he's also made a lot of money. So a few weeks ago, guys, I had a class that I did with Wendy Luhabe for transversing liminality, which is
Yeah.
an incredible organization that works with young girls, and they'd asked the women who they want to have on a personal finance panel, and they'd chosen myself and Dr. Wendy Luhabe. And one of the things that Dr. Wendy Luhabe said was, if you are going to be an investor, you have to be willing to lose money. You can't be scared of losing money. And she said, it is inevitable as you go on your wealth building journey, you're going to lose money and you can't freak out and stop investing because that happens. It happens to every investor. So you just have to get your mind right and be okay with that. And hearing Matimba say that just reminded me of saying that he's lost a lot of money, but he's also made a lot of money. And because that's part of the risk of investing. So that just reminded me, and that is my takeaway. And I was sharing with all my clients this takeaway. Mizo knows I did a whole video on it because I found it so super powerful that
Yeah.
she said that, because I was telling her that actually she helped heal me, because I know in 2021 I made what I thought was silly and bad investments, but I see by the end of 2021 I saw how much I had learned from that, but I had lost so much. Like, I think when I calculated, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I've lost about 400,000 Rand. And I was just, and to lose that in a year as an entrepreneur, I was beating myself up. But after that, I did the work. But just hearing Dr. Wendy Luhabe say
Yeah.
that, I feel like whatever remnants of, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that, was still there, have completely disappeared. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, actually, I learned so much. And these were those hard lessons that
Hard lessons.
you have to go through the journey as an entrepreneur, as an investor, to learn these lessons.
To learn
And now
this
I know better, and I'm doing better. I don't just know better, but I'm seeing myself in 2022. I'm doing better. I'm behaving better. So
Yeah.
yeah, big
Yeah.
takeaway and so
And
important.
it's all over the social media. I talk about my unit that I bought that never
Mm.
cash flowed, right?
Yes.
And you will. And someone was asking me, so what qualifies you to be a property mentor when you have made a bad investment? And I'm like, I don't know if it was a bad investment. It was a good
Yes.
lesson. It was a good lesson. I
Yes.
know what, and that loss is what makes me
Mm.
a property mentor and a good property mentor, because I can tell you,
Exactly.
I can smell a property that's not gonna cash flow. And if you are looking for cash flow, because some people buy, a
Yeah.
non-cash flowing apartment, but they are looking for appreciation. But that's not what I was looking for. So on my part,
Mm.
it wasn't what I was looking for. So yeah,
But
no,
also, can I say, I have seen it firsthand with you as you do deal analysis for the stock file.
yeah,
They're like, you have learned so much from your journey,
totally.
from business and investing. So when we sit down and we have conversations, I can see that like this is not just theory. This is coming from
Uh,
experience,
yeah,
So when
and
we
it,
talk about things, it's often from that space, and I
it
love
is.
it. And this is
Yeah.
why I love having you being the person analyzing the deals for the property stock file.
Yeah, no, I don't. Angidlali ngemali. I said I don't play with money, but it's
Yeah.
even worse. You have to honor your investors as well. So it's an incredible. This podcast really makes me happy. This episode was
It
such a
does.
gem. I really
It
love.
really, really was.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's move on to the next segment of the show.
Now, on to the journey to magical expansion, where we ask our guests the same 5 questions we ask every guest.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the next segment of the show. As usual, I'm going to have Mizo start us off on the journey to magical expansion.
Right. These are the same 5 personal questions we ask every guest to help us understand how they create their own magic and expand. So, Matimba, share with us a book that changed your life. It can be a business book, it can be a real estate one, can be on development or property management, any book that changed your life.
Hearing Grasshoppers Jump by Raymond Ackerman, the founder and owner of Pick and Pay.
Of Pick and Pay, yeah?
Yes. He's actually written 2 books, and I love both of them. The other one is called 4 Legs of a Table.
4 Legs of a Table.
4
Wow.
legs of a table and hearing grasshoppers jump. I need to
Yes.
read these.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't read enough of our own South African books, eh?
Right? Yeah, no,
4 Legs of
I'm
a
very
Table.
excited at the prospect of reading this.
Actually, yeah.
So, Matimba, what keeps you inspired?
I think I'm an internal optimist. I love this country. I love this
Yeah.
country with all my heart, and what keeps me inspired is waking up every day to make a difference. And using the platform that God has chosen for me, responding to this calling that I have, but to make a difference in other people's lives.
Okay.
That's powerful.
And tell me, Matimba, are there any things you wish you had known before embarking on your property investment journey? In your business, in your capacity as a property investor, are there any things you look back and you think, damn, I should have known that. I wish I had known that earlier.
Don't spread yourself too thin.
Okay.
I mean, when I was busy with the property business, I got excited and I opened a restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
And because I had extra cash and I felt one of my dreams was to have a restaurant, one of my biggest mistakes ever in life. So
The
all I can
restaurants
say
are
is,
so intense to run and manage.
and so it taught me a huge lesson. I lost a lot of money,
Sure.
And I really felt I shouldn't have done that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So stick to your lane, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I like how you say it. I also just the authenticity of it. Yeah, we do that. We do that. And yeah, maybe you were buying a piece of real estate, Matimba. You are forgiven.
Oh my gosh. So, Matimba, what do you think you still need to learn in property?
I still need to learn how to get government involved. In growing, or big investors. Let me just say, big investors involved in building mega projects.
Okay.
I feel that I've been in this industry now for over 10 years. I'm ready to play with the big dogs. And and for you to do that, you need critical stakeholders who are able to fund and support your vision,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You are on the verge of it. I can just feel it. I can
Yes,
just feel it. Oh
definitely.
my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
And
definitely
Matimba,
on the verge.
you so tell me, do you have any property resource that you want to send people? It can be a book, it can be a podcast, it can be a YouTube, or any of the socials. Is there somewhere where you want people to find some property investment?
But I don't have a resource per se.
Mhm.
I have a spreadsheet that I've perfected over the years
Really?
that allows you to calculate with precision how much money you will make in your property investment. And I've been building up on that spreadsheet for years and years
Right,
and years
right,
and years.
Wow.
right,
And that is my biggest resource.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, doing deal analysis is a huge thing for most people. They are so scared
Yeah.
of it, and that's why they don't do it and they buy. So, but
Mm.
is it something that you share, and can you put it somewhere on a web page? Can people?
I've not shared it, I'm still thinking whether I should share it for free or I should, because I've spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, I've a lot of failures, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to share it. But that's my
No,
reason.
definitely charge for it. Make
I
it
think you
into
must.
an app and
Yeah,
charge.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I have got a proposal for you after this. It's fine.
Mm.
That is
Okay.
such a great thing. Yeah. And you can actually share your own platform. Can people find you on the socials? I mean, you are a property manager, so there must be some service that
Um,
you're selling.
I mean, if you want to see me, I'm Matimba Masinga
Hmm.
or Matimba Properties
Okay.
on all platforms. You'll
Hmm.
find me Instagram, Facebook. I've had my Facebook account that was hacked though, so I've
Oh,
had to
shame.
open a new one. So you don't be surprised if you see two of those. I'm
Hmm.
unable to get access into the old one, which had almost everything.
Oh,
Uh,
gosh.
Wow.
so yeah, so find me. I mean, even if you Google me, Matimba Masinga, I
Hmm.
think you should be able to find some of my YouTube videos that I've had, some of the things I've done, what I'm currently doing. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. Like this.
I like it as well. So,
Mhm.
Matimba, can you please tell us what was your intention for coming on this show? Why did you say yes? And if your intention for doing the podcast is that you meet the big dogs, we've had quite a few incredible investors on the show. Just
Yeah.
say it. They listen to the podcast. So, what is your intention? What are you hoping to get out of this podcast interview? And how do people reach you to help you fulfill this intention?
I think mainly the intention was to just meet with like-minded people. But
Mm,
also secondly was just to put my story across and see if it resonates with anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to connect with me, who wants to partner up with me. I'm always looking for new ideas. I'm always looking for people to collaborate with. So yeah, I think that's the long and short of it.
We are
Awesome.
most grateful for your story. Sometimes some people start listening to our podcast from episode 95, for instance, and there
Yep.
is some young Black person who is sitting there thinking, this is what I want to do. And that's how they find each other. This podcast has done incredible partnerships. And
It really
oh,
has.
it has. I mean, the stories we hear and people that send us emails and messages on Facebook and Insta are amazing. So amazing partnerships come from here. You are in the right place.
Yes.
So thank you for
Yep.
your story. This is
Thank you so much, guys, for
incredible.
having me. Wow. Wow, I'm
Yes.
truly inspired. I will start listening to the podcast. I must say I haven't had the time, but
Yeah.
I will start listening to the podcast as I drive every day.
Yes, please do. And how do people reach you, Matimba? So people that want to partner with you, how do they get hold of you?
I'm just going to give out my email address, which is matimba at
Mhm.
matimbaproperties.com.
Okay.
People can also reach me on my social media handles, Matimba
I
Masingas.
see.
I'm almost on all social media platforms. But the best way to reach me is via email, matimba at matimbaproperties.com.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Reach out to Matimba and thank you for tuning in today. We're really grateful. But before we go, we have to say we are sponsored by the Property Magician Stockfile. As we record this, we're in the middle of deal number 5, which you would have heard about in the previous episode of this podcast. We're still in the midst of that and we are fundraising. So if you want to be part of the Stockfile, please go to Stockfella, the Stockfella app. If you're in Namibia, Lesotho, South Africa, or Swaziland, and you download the Stockfella app and look for Property Magician Stockfile. If you are outside any of these countries, don't despair. You can still be part of the Stockfile. Go to wealthy-money.com/stockfile. Again, wealthy-money.com/stockfile. Stockfile is spelled STOKVEL, and you will see how you can join if you are not part of these 4 countries. So far as we're recording this, we have raised about 250,000 Rand.
Wow, that's great, guys.
Yes, in the last 5 days, right?
5 days, right?
Yeah, in the last 5 days. But in total, as we shared in the last podcast episode, we've already raised 2.6 million Rand since we launched in August 2021. So, guys, this is exciting times. We look forward to having you in the Stockfile. Have a fantastic day further. Thank you, Mizo. Thank you, Property Magicians. And thank you so much, Matimba, for coming on and inspiring us.
Pleasure, guys. Stay safe and thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for listening, Property Magicians. My name is Vangile Makwakwa, and I am your host on the show. I help people heal their ancestral money stories so that they can fall in love with their bank accounts, become financially free, and live their best lives. So if you would love to increase your income or you'd love to pay off your debts and increase your savings, contact me. You can contact me on the Wealthy Money website at wealthy-money.com. Again, wealthy-money.com. Or you can email me at vangile@wealthy-money.com. Again, vangile@wealthy-money.com. Find me on Facebook on the Wealthy Money group or on the Wealthy Money page, or find me on Twitter and Instagram as Vangile Makwakwa. Now over to my co-host.
Thank you for listening. I am Dr. Miranda Prop Doc Mum on all the social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm the host of Property Magician Connections podcast, and I'm a property mentor. I mentor newbie property investors to help them to begin and to take action. Your journey into property investment begins with me, from property registration, from property company registration, to picking the correct strategy that suits where you are at. Find me on my inbox at miranda@wealthy-money.com. Again, inbox me at miranda@wealthymoney.com if you want me to help you start your property journey.